What's up, y'all? Welcome to What's Sibling Rivalry, the Zoom podcast, the quarantine edition. I'm Kente Scott, and that is my lovely sister.
I'm Shonda Scott, Kente's sister and co-host of What Sibling Rivalry.
Yes, and interviewee extraordinaire. She's been hitting the interview circuit this week. You were on, Mike and Donnie?
I was on Mike and Donnie on Fox Soul.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun interview. Lots of good energy, good conversation about, men, women. It was called Ladies Night. So they brought in some estrogen into the testosterone.
It was strong estrogen. It was strong estrogen in there. It wasn't like
Right.
I was like, oh, that estrogen got a little testosterone in it too. They're not playing. I was like, y'all were punking the player. I was like, oh yeah, I like this show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We tried to be nice, but it was about boss ladies. They wanted to know women in business and how that is and dating and
Right.
what men. If the man makes less money than the woman, that kind of scenario. And
Yeah, I know. It's funny when they were doing the why part of it, like when they were asking you questions, and I was like, why is the age-old argument between men and women till the end of time going to be, why y'all can't never put the seat down? Or why you can't look before you sit?
oh yeah, they ask all the age-old questions, like why do women go to the bathroom together, and
Right.
why? What was the other thing? I think the bathroom, the seat, and then there was another one that was an age-old question. Oh, why do you not order your own food when you have something to eat? I thought the answer the one guy gave was nice. He always, and McDonald's actually has a commercial with that same ideology where it's like get something for somebody else because you know they're gonna want some when they see yours. That's McDonald's commercial on the fries. They just rolled it out, and he was saying he always buys something else because he said, I know she's not gonna say she wants something to eat, so I know she's gonna want something to eat when she gets mine. So I'm just gonna order her some too. I was like, well, that's pretty considerate. That's a nice way to do it.
Yeah, that was a good way because and it'll lower the men's frustration level because that's my thing.
Right.
I'm like, if I ask you and you say you don't want none and don't come get off my plate, get out my plate.
I'm so surprised at how many men get upset about that. I mean, I remember just having a full-on argument about like, why do you want some wine? I'm like, why are you being so selfish? Like, why is it a big deal? I'm not gonna eat the whole thing. I just wanted a couple of fries. They look good when you brought them out. Everybody's stuff looks better on somebody else's plate, so
Well,
you always see it.
Yeah, when y'all said that, I was like, oh, it makes a lot of sense now because like I just asked you if you wanted something. You told me it's almost like, and it's not correlating women to children, but it's like when you're a parent, you be like, you gotta go to the bathroom, and they say no. And as soon as you start driving, they be like, we gotta go to the bathroom.
At the time you asked, I was not hungry.
Right.
So, yeah, but then when you brought it looked good. So can I have a bite?
Yeah.
Since we are we.
Exactly. We be like, go ahead. And then y'all always get the good fry. Like I grew up with you, so I'm used to it. But you always find that perfect fry that we like, I'm gonna set this fry to the side. And you're like, yeah, I'll take these two. Like, I guess I'll eat
those are the best ones.
Yeah.
And then I was on the Black News Channel. That's a new news network that it airs internationally too. And that was really fun. I really was impressed with their set and the content. We have to go on there again when we can be together. Since unless they figure out a way to do multiple people on Zoom.
Right. They need to have our guy Ram give him a tutorial on how to
cook it up.
Yeah. Now, that was ladies first, but it was just the topic of ladies
first. The
first.
topic was ladies first, and then they were just talking about women, and this topic was about, family business, and then just being an entrepreneur and a philanthropist, and how and other things that I do, how women are able to do it all and get it done and keep it moving.
Yes, and then we did an interview together with KABC Radio.
That was fun.
That'll be airing in the future. That was fun. He figured out how to have both of us on.
That's true. But his was a different format too. So his was more like podcast Zoom. This is actually a news TV
Oh,
show,
okay.
a
Oh, gotcha. So
news show segment,
right,
right?
right. Okay, so they're more formatted to news and
Right.
in studio and all of that, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. Cool, cool. And then, a lot has been going on in the world. This week has been rough. Yesterday we lost the Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman passed. I didn't know that for 4 years. I mean, nobody knew because he kept it very private, that for 4 years he'd been battling cancer. But that would mean that he was Black Panther while he was battling colon cancer. He was Black Panther. He did the movie with Spike Lee recently, the Five Bloods. He did the 21 Blocks movie. So pretty much almost like a quarter to 33% of the movies that he's done, he did while he was battling colon cancer for the last 4 years.
A true superhero. Like my first thought was like, why are superheroes dying? Kobe in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Now, Chadwick in almost about 6 months, the half year mark, he passes, and it's like, why are superheroes dying? And the Wicked Witch is still flying here.
Yes.
When is the house going to land on the Wicked Witch? We have tornadoes, we have fires. I'm like, when is the house going to land on the Wicked Witch in real life? Because this is hard. But then I read today one young man wrote about his son response because he was crying and he was upset, because we're like, we finally get a superhero, we finally get Wakanda, Oakland back on the map, and then our superhero is gone. He said he just went to another universe to inspire them, to make them great. I'm like, wow. And that's just how life in heaven and the spirit evolves too. It's like, when your work is done here, you go to another universe. But I have to say, it's rarely emotional for me that he passed, because one, cancer, and I have the Pink Access and Lavender 2 Foundation that deals with cancer and survivors and just the impact that it has on our lives and how it's taken out so many of our young African American people. Mm-hmm. But then the fact we're in COVID and all these other things are happening, it's just like one thing after another. There's police brutality, killing Black men in the streets. Then a Black man, Kobe's flying to take his daughter somewhere that dies in a plane crash, and then this young man inspiring us to greatness. I'm like, Iron Man is still here and Black Panther is gone. Right. But like you said, he's in Wakanda, another universe, doing what he needs to do for some other people. We had our seeds planted. Now it's for us to carry on, and he's moved on to another universe.
Yeah. That's perfectly said. He was great. He was great while he was here. I loved his dignity and his grace, that he, like, every role he played, whether he never played the regular hood roles, that Hollywood always like to throw you in, but whatever he played, be it a detective, or if he was in Vietnam as a flashback soldier, he always had like a grace and dignity about him. Like, he was, like, Wesley Snipes was supposed to play Black Panther way back in the day, but it almost is like, well, now once Chadwick played it the way he played it, it's like, that's T'Challa. Like, he's who that's why they waited. Like, it was almost like it was the perfect timing for the perfect person to play that character the way we needed it. The way Black America needed it, the way America needed it, the way the world needed to see that character brought to life. But it's, it's like you said, with cancer, we've lost family members and friends, and it's just like, I wish I could see Cancer in the street so I could just slap the taste out of his mouth. Just come here, Cancer, get out of here. I'm sick of you. You make me sick. But his
range, though, just think, Thurgood Marshall is like a giant, light-skinned, curly hair. This man plays Thurgood Marshall, and you never once think about that he couldn't play him. He played him. He played Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, he played all
James Brown. He brought so many people to life and showed them in their humanness and their greatness, that he left like a catalog, a legacy and then he plays Black Panther, and this brings his superhero to life. So
he played.
Hats off to him.
He played Floyd Little, who was one of the first Black, had to deal with being one of the first African-American running backs in the league. He played, I didn't even know he played him, but I look back, he played him 5-6 years ago. So he's played so many icons that, the body of work he left us will always be remembered. And we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the NBA players shutting things down for social injustice because of Jacob Blake getting shot in the back 7 times in front of his children, and then the militia guy who goes to the same city and kills 2 people and gets to walk home, and just showing the difference in that. But the NBA was like, we have this moment. We have the power. It's the thing I love about the NBA is that the players know their worth in that league. And to see how it trickled down to WNBA, Major League Baseball, even the NHL. Like the NHL, if you know anything about hockey, is one of the most prejudiced historically leagues that we have outside of the NFL, but we'll get to that. And they cancel games. They cancel games, and it was just a moment to see, like, okay, they realize it's bigger than sports. They realize this is not about shut up and dribble. We'll never go back to that. And that was just amazing to see.
And Black people are speaking up because of the George Floyd and all that resonated from that. And then everybody's just sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yes.
Like Fannie Lou Hamer said, we're sick and tired. Enough is enough. And so they're speaking up in ways they never spoke up before, and they're realizing their power. And that's what I'm so proud of them about. And that the fact, like I said, they're in this bubble. See, they did that bubble. The NBA did the bubble for their own economic means to keep the games going. But
right.
That bubble is going to be where the masterminding happened. Because at first I wanted them to leave and stay gone, but then I started thinking, well, what are they going to do? Because now they'll be separated and they'll
right.
go back home. Like, how are they going to amplify their voices? And I heard that they said that there was a news report that said that President Obama talked them back into talking. And I'm like, see, you got all those guys in one bubble. You could get on one phone call and have all the people you need versus everybody having to call and Zoom. And they and they came up with some master planning where they now have voting booths that are going to be open in the arenas. They came up with what they wanted. They use this moment to say what you need and want for your community, and which is for the betterment for the world. I keep speaking on this. There's never been a time when Black people have thrived and everybody else haven't thrived too. There's no time where Black people in America have thrived and no one else has thrived. So us thriving is in the best interest of America. And there's actually a study that says that by McKinsey, a McKinsey report that says it's proof that us thriving helps the economy in America. So and us not hurts. So they're I love that. They're in that bubble and they're like master planning, and it's the perfect dynamics. And whenever in the NBA, all of them been in one place at one time, moments that happen, and they have this platform to just realize, but they realized that what they were doing was fine, but it wasn't enough. So they need to do more.
So, I mean, just the all the players being together in one group, like you said, and having all the resources and having that brain trust where Chris Paul and LeBron can talk to Giannis and they all be on one accord. Like that was what was so amazing to me is like they were all on one accord and they were like, this is what we need now. You don't give us any more promises. Don't give us any more sunshine and what'll happen down the line and this, that, and the third. We need this now. And it worked. Like the owners were like, okay, we have to do this. So that was an amazing moment. And
Doc Rivers and all those coaches are all there with them. So they have all this wisdom in this house. And then
you have all the history.
Right.
Yeah, you have all the people Doc Rivers who've lived it. Bill Russell was chiming in, who's been a civil rights icon, but actually lived it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was reaching out to him, who actually lived it. So the sports will never be the same. America will never be the same, and Black America will never be the same. And we just got to continue with this momentum and don't let it forget. Like that was my biggest thing back when the George Floyd thing happened, I was like, ooh, what's going to happen when the energy dissipates? But we're not letting the energy dissipate. And I love that. I love that.
Right. I mean, the only sad part is the energy keeps going up because another case happened.
That's
So,
right.
you know, it's like that part. So I'm switching gears a little bit. Today we have an icon to me that's one of my favorite, and everybody who knows me, in fact, everybody who knows me that is a woman and wants to wear these dresses, or even anybody who wants to wear these dresses that knows me, have been inspired and interested, and go now, they're fans too, and clients of Bryon Lars, who is an amazing award-winning international designer from the Bay. And you know, we talk about everything Bay Area, and we're happy to have him for the first time. We get to have him on What Sibling Rivalry, and I get to interview him too personally. It's a personal meet because not only is he my favorite designer, now I feel like he's a friend. And every time I'm in New York, I have to pop by and see what's happening, talk about master plan, what's happening in his lab, because his fashions are just so unique and beautiful. And all of us who wear them feel like they were made just for us, because they're tailor-made for your body, really. So as soon as you put the dress on, it fits you like it was made for you. Right. And the top. I'm wearing my Bryon Lars top too.
I was about to say, you have Bryon Lars wardrobe. You have all of it. I was like, it ain't just dresses. I feel like everything. You're like, is that Bryon Lars too? Okay.
Right.
All right.
Pants. I have a Bryon Lars section in my closet. Like literally, it's only Bryon.
Yeah.
From the vintage Bryon that I have to like new, every season I can find something that is just wonderful in Bryon Lars collection. So I'm happy. I know we're doing this on What Sibling Rivalry, but I'll have a chance to interview him on Spotlight with Shonda as part of my special segment on Black designers' influence on fashion. You know, there's a lot of things that Black designers have been doing in fashion that haven't been told. And I was inspired by the show, The Remixes on Netflix, that showed hip hop's influence on fashion. So,
right. Yeah. So we want to welcome in the amazing, the incredible, the Bay's own Bryon Lars.
Hey,
what's up?
Coming live from New York City.
Hey, Shonda. Hey, Kente. You know,
Hi,
you think
how
I
you
have
doing?
the Zoom thing down already. It's like it's happened so much, and there's always either they can't see me or hear me. So
right.
Here we are.
Yeah, we can't control Zoom. We just can do the best we can with what we have during this shelter in place and pandemic.
I love your background, though. Your background is amazing. That's how you come in. Like, yep, he's a designer. Yep, he designed
work back there, yeah.
Well, I'm excited. You know, the fact that we found out, not only are you from the Bay Area, then we find out he was born in Oakland.
Yay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Born in Oakland. So, you know, Oakland's own. That's us. There's a lot of great things that happen out of Oakland.
Yeah, a lot of great things, like in all areas, particularly like musically. We have a lot of like really amazing musicians out of there.
Yeah.
Oakland, particularly.
Yeah.
It's like something in the water there. I can't carry a tune, but my brother's a musician, so.
Hey, it's in the family.
There it is.
Yeah. How did you migrate, or when did you migrate from the Bay to New York? Or are you how
long?
You know,
I came here many years ago to go to fashion school at FIT.
Okay.
So that's what brought me here, and you know, like high-end fashion and just fashion is here.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some people doing it elsewhere. Like you got Kevin Hall in California, who is like amazing. I actually interned with him there like many years ago, and he's doing his thing. I do not know how he made that happen there. And everybody knows him here. I just didn't even, I'm like, look, I'm just going where it is, where they are, and I'm gonna make it easier on myself.
Right.
And it's certainly not easy, but at least this is where it's happening.
Well, tell us a little bit about your fashion journey, Bryon, and how you evolved from, you know, when I started wearing your styles, they said Bryon Lars, he designed my prom dress. So you were designing prom dresses back in the day. Yes. So
You know what,
how did you evolve from Byron Lars, the prom dress man, to like the award-winning international designer?
You know, that's funny because I didn't know that you knew any of my prom victims. No, actually, that was my first time making women's clothes, those prom dresses. And that was honestly what made me know I needed to do this. Because I remember the first prom dress I made was for an upperclassman. So I didn't go to prom. She went. And I just remember, like, when she left, it was like that night. And I'm like, wow. Something that I made is actually having like playing a really important role in this really important time in this person's life. And that was really infectious. That's really what got me on the whole fashion thing. Of course, I was making money, so my whole thing then, I learned how to sew. I was like, hey, I can sketch you up something to make you a dress that nobody's going to have. And that was pretty much, I thought at the time, just transactional. Like, I've always had a certain degree of creativity. I took drafting courses in high school, so that's why I was able to kind of like fake a pattern. I'm still like amazed to this day when I look back at those pictures, like how well everything fit. I guess that speaks back to like dressmaking and all the things that like Black people did so many years ago when there was no fashion school.
Right.
And they were making all of white society's clothes. I guess I employed some of that stuff that's historically just in us, in our DNA or something, because I'm like, I look back now, I'm like, ooh, boy, they had a whole lot of faith. It's like, what would have happened if it didn't turn out, and all that. But thankfully it did.
But you had such a talent. You were such a talent. I'm sure they were like, they had faith, but they saw something. They're like, oh, where'd you get that dress made? I'm going there because that is bad.
Well, thank you. But yeah, the whole experience of it, though, is really what got me into this. And, like Shonda, like you shared, like, oh, it feels like it's made for me. Like when I hear that, and I do hear that quite often, which is always makes me feel great, because when you feel like that, then you can just go out in the world and do what you need to do. You're not worried about your dress or your look, because it's together. You did that final check, you're like, yeah, mama looks good. So mama can go out and conquer.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing about Byron, I was a fan and wearing your designs before we even met and before you even were styling me. I was wearing your designs to the White House anytime. I was like, a Black designer, I'm wearing this. I'm wearing it to any event. I was so excited because I didn't even realize it. I was shopping at this one boutique in Oakland, and she used to always have unique fashions, and she turned me on to Byron Lars. And so I had this, I think it was a suit was the first thing I had. And it was like a floral, it had a floral cut design in it, and, just in the embroidery of it. And it had flower buttons down the front and down the back of the skirt. I still have that suit now. I still have that suit. And then it was a dress. And it was one of those dresses, and I think I would always see Oprah wearing this style dress. And it was like where it cinched in the waist, and then it had like a kind of ruffle down, and it fit your hips nice, and it was like a pencil dress, but then it was like off the shoulder somewhere here. Still have that dress. It's like they're just like the most timeless, amazing pieces, and they fit you so well, and it's not like ridiculously priced, and it fits us, like where we're small in the waist, big in the hips, and small up the top. All of it fits, so
yeah. Byron, let me piggyback on that, ask a question, because when you say it, I remember that. Do you remember, like are they like your kids going out into the world? Do you remember all of your Byron Lars designs? Like, oh yeah, that's Junior, I remember that one.
Well, I wouldn't say it's as deep as a child, a human being. However, like a child, many aspects of their development was fraught with stress and drama. So that I don't think you forget. And that kind of makes them memorable. So in that regard, I guess it is similar to child rearing.
Okay. Yeah.
To keep up with the latest on What Sibling Rivalry podcast, please subscribe to us on your favorite platform. On Apple Podcasts, click on the subscribe button. And please don't forget to leave us a review and rating. On Spotify, click on the follow button under our picture. And on Stitcher, click on the plus sign under our picture. This will keep you up to date on all the fun and funny.
Personally, I mean, I'm not a designer at all, so I don't know how that evolves. But personally, I'm like, it's just amazing, the designs, the patches, and the patchwork that you come up with and how that connects. But even just like to think about, this piece had like floral embroidery kind of like etched into the jacket. But then to think, finish it off with the buttons that are flower buttons is just amazing. So how do you come up with those concepts?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, honestly, it is absolutely like divine intervention. Because, you know, like most creatives, like my space is pretty messy. I mean, look at this fabric wall behind me. And a lot of times, like, I'll be like throwing swatches everywhere, looking for something in particular. And what lands on the table is something like that's 70% finished. It's like, wow, those look amazing together. So a lot of times it's like that. A lot of times I have to work harder for it, but that happens so often that I just know there's something else at work.
Wow.
And just the process. It's not like me creating things all the time. Sometimes I feel like it's actually through me, you know what I mean? Many times. And I think anybody who creates anything probably has a very similar experience, because and sometimes even when that thought is there and it's in this head and it's so fully fleshed out, it's like, I'm not actively thinking about fashion. I'm not actively thinking about anything. Sometimes I'm just like, what's for dinner? Maybe chicken. And then boom, you know, a fully formed dress, jacket, pants, whatever. And then I'm like, there's no way that I put that there, because I'm thinking about things way less complicated, you know, actively. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, I guess inactively, there's always that problem solving going on in there, and gifts being given and all that stuff. So, you know, I'm like, yeah, well, thanks. I'll write that one down.
That makes sense. Well, how long have you been in the business? Because you've been doing divine intervention for a long time, because all your pieces are amazing.
Mm.
Well, thanks. I've been in the business now for 30 plus years.
Wow.
Can you believe it? I started when I was, I shipped my first collection when I was, 30 years, because I'm 55. And I was 25 when I shipped my first collection. Wow. And you know what? Then, this is funny, because then I was like, I remember turning 25, I have like birthday triplets. A friend that I was working with at the time at a job, we were born the same day, same year. She's French. South African guy, born the same day, same year. We were all friends. And it was like, and we turned 25 the same day, and we were all catatonic. We just thought 25 was like, oh my God. It's like
so old.
The century. We old.
Right.
If we don't do anything, we better get busy and do it now. How ridiculous. It's like, really? 25, you're like a kid still. But anyway, that was really what happened. And then I like got busy. I quit that job where my friend worked, because I started freelancing and making patterns for this other designer that had just separated from his partner. So that allowed me to like make some money while I was making the first set of samples. And then, you know, it was like some silk satin baseball jacket, dresses, bustiers, and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, it was pretty like DIY. I just put them in a garment bag, put them on my back, and started walking the stores. And meanwhile, I walked to Vogue, got an appointment. It was crazy. I was like, I think back, I'm like, how did these people even let me in? But that was before you had an Instagram account, so people could like vet you before you showed up.
Right.
And
yeah, that's when you could just go knock on someone's
Yeah.
door and just
Yes.
drop in and make it happen.
I was still a little bit surprised at how easy it was to get in front of some pretty major people, because it was just like, who are you? How did you even think you could get in here? But then there I was with the garment bag, and I opened it up. My first appointment was Bendel's. They ordered it right then and there on the spot.
Wow.
And I'm like, look, guys, I'm sorry now, so this will have to be COD, because it'll just have to.
Right.
And
Right.
they were really good with that. And they gave me the whole, like, Fifth Avenue windows with that stuff.
Wow.
First
That's
delivery, I was like, that's ridiculous.
No, that is amazing, Byron. That is amazing. Like, even now, any time in life, that story right there is amazing.
But
The ingenuity and then
Yeah.
the blessing in it, that's amazing.
yeah, and it's the epitome of the Bay hustle, like from Too Short selling stuff out of his trunk to Master P when he came to the Bay selling stuff out of his trunk. It's like you took that Bay hustle and that Bay confidence in your product and took it to the fashion world. You were like, you went out the trunk, but you were definitely out of the suitcase.
Yeah, it was,
Right.
It's well up in a trunk. it was pretty unglamorous, shall we say. But you know what though? But that was a time though when, like, there were true merchants, and they loved that level of what was happening and what was burgeoning, you know, underneath the surface and what hadn't happened yet. And they were like really excited to be a part of that, the development of something new that was happening, because shortly after that, I started taking stuff around the magazines and stuff, and I took some of the Harper's Bazaar, met Jeanette Chang there, and she was just like, listen, this stuff is great. I want your next stop to be to see this woman, who ended up being my first business partner. And she was actually the person behind Patrick Kelly, who had, at that point, recently passed away. She was she's American, but she went back and forth from here to Paris to, you know, run things there. She was here on the weekends. She had a kid, and then in Paris during the week, you know, running that. And she was the one that orchestrated this deal with an American company that was his backer at the time. And after he passed away untimely, she moved back and started a business here. Harper's Bazaar sent me to her. And then I come in, and it's just like, I don't know if anybody knows Patrick, but we have very similar physicality. You know what I mean? Like, big, smiley black men.
Right.
Do fashion. So she watched me come in, and then she clearly had a reaction, like, kind of traumatized, because she was like, listen, I just went through all that. I lived that, and now I'm doing this, and I don't want to be doing that. And you look, it was just a lot for, you know, her to take in. And of course, you know, I only discovered who she was with regard to him. Of course, you know, everybody knew him, and I was like a big fan. But then I'm like, oh my God, that was you? I'm like, wow, that was amazing. And then, like, and anyway, so really the only reason I went there was because Jeanette told me to. And I'm like, there's no way I can go back to Bazaar if I didn't follow up on a lead. Because at first I'm like, is she a store? Is it a store? Because I'm like, I need some orders. Yeah, that was just like, Papa needs rent. So no, she's not. But she, you know, she develops designers and blah, blah, blah. Went there, met her. And we hit it off. She's really amazing. We're still great friends to this very day. And her name's Miriam Wheaton. And then she, you know, had, of course, all these contacts from her history. Before Patrick Kelly, she was at Karl Lagerfeld, president of that. And before that, president of, like, YSL. So she had a pretty, you know, amazing pedigree in fashion. So to come in out of nowhere and get that kind of introduction to, you know, the industry at large was pretty awesome, to say the least. So, but, you know, even though she had that influence, I mean, we didn't have backers, so I was working on a new collection and everything, and she started calling stores to come see it. And she called, then back in those days, department stores had what they called a fashion office.
Mm.
And I know they still do it, but it's not the same. Fashion office was basically like talent scouts.
Oh.
They were the ones that like went out into the field and vetted what was good, what was worthy, what wasn't. And they brought it back. And then the buyers directed the buyers like, hey, you got to buy this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, a lot of times the buyers would be very resentful because it's like, listen, I don't know who this is. I don't know what this is. And, you know, there was always a little bit of a power thing going there, but it's just like they existed for a reason because they would leave no stone unturned to find something that was new and hopefully interesting and worthy of, you know, supporting. So Cal Ruttenstein was that guy then, and he came to Marion Wheaton's office where the clothes were and everything, and he was completely stone-faced as they showed him everything. I was like, oh, well, that's that. I guess it didn't work. You know, and after they finished the whole spiel, he stood up and still stone-faced and walked straight to me. He's like, young man, you're a great talent, and I'd like to give you a shop on the whatever floor in Bloomingdale's. And I was just like, you've got to. I'm like, you have got to be kidding.
Wow.
And he wasn't. And they paid because of Marianne was like, listen, we got no money here. So you're going to have to pay for this order 50% up front because that's going to finance the production. And they did.
Wow.
Can you believe that's what happened back then? Because, and it wasn't like times were great. It was actually in the middle of a recession. And that's honestly the only reason I even had the courage to start in the beginning, because I'm like, I mean, what can you lose? It's just like, I was thinking there's no way it could grow beyond me too fast because the economy sucks.
Right. And you have to do something. And so, Bryon, so speaking of that, you know, since COVID, so much has changed. How has it impacted the fashion industry? I know it's been a tremendous hit. How has it impacted you? And what do you see as the evolution that will happen post-COVID, you know, post us finding a way to survive and exist and still have an economy?
Well, that's funny. That's really the reason I brought that story up, because it's like, here we are. I feel like I'm right back at starting point again, because it's devastated the fashion industry, you know, and unlike then, I do have a history and I do have a customer base, and there is stuff to lose. But you know what? That die has been cast in terms of like just the universe has put out there what's happening. We all are going to have to make adjustments. And honestly, I am overwhelmingly excited more than anything. Of course, I'm scared and all, but like the combination of like fright and excitement gives you that energy, I guess, not dissimilar to all those years ago, that makes you think in new ways and, you know, open up your mind. And I am thinking in new ways, and I'm really excited about a lot of new directions that I'll be taking. I mean, like even some more accessible fashion, because as people like are still at home and they're not going back to their offices anytime soon.
Oh yeah.
Significantly, I mean, she's living a different life. And I know there's some of my girl like, Shonda, I mean, I'm sure you're serving.
So I'm rocking my Bryon Lars wide leg pants on my Zoom call. Nobody can see it, but I gotta match up my outfit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I do not.
Shonda gets dressed. Shonda does the whole outfit. Like, I'm Zoom ready. Waist up, I'm camera ready. Waist down, you don't want to see what's going on. But Shonda does the whole ensemble.
Oh,
I'm the one that if people in the house are like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, Zoom call. What do you mean? I'm wearing my Bryon Lars outfit. I want to wear my pants. But I have bought more athletic wear than I ever had before. But fashiony athletic wear. So, you know, if Bryon Lars has some inspired athletic kind of wear coming out, oh, that'll be perfect too. Like I said, every collection and season, you have something for me. So.
Oh, well, thank you for that, Shonda. Yeah, well, that is absolutely where it's going. And some things that are like, some things in a direction that I've always appreciated, but haven't really taken root as readily as maybe some other things. Because, you know, everybody knows me for fitted things.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. When things are easy and away from the body, it still takes a degree of fit to make them sing. And, you know, it's just like, it takes a little more refined eye to recognize that. And on a hanger, you're just not going to. On your body, you absolutely will. It will just feel different. It will be on your body as opposed to just shifting around and going all everywhere, like, you know, other stuff. So that I'm really excited about like having like more of an opportunity for that kind of silhouette and that kind of sensibility to take hold, because I do truly believe in. I believe in fitted things. I believe in away things. It's all body conscious because I'm always aware of the body that will be wearing them. So just because it's, you know, away from the body doesn't mean that like there's not the same level of consideration taken for the body that wears it. So
will you also include masks too? By just real quick, will you include matching masks for your, because you have such beautiful design pieces that a mask, you know, people are starting to get creative with the mask now.
I will actually. You know what? If you can just, I can just go and get a couple because I have.
I'd like. Oh, please,
Wait.
They're not
please
available
do.
yet.
I know, but please do. We like that exclusivity, and I'd like to see what I need to look for.
Okay.
You got to get a mask. You got to got the outfit to match your mask, or the mask to match your outfit.
I do.
Coordinate. You got to coordinate.
Yes.
Well, here's one that I don't know if you
can. And look at that. See, it's not. That's beautiful.
It's kind of like tailored.
Is that the button in the front? There's a jacket. Yeah, you have a suit that matches that.
And all that. And I guess we're gonna have a little mass fashion show.
All right.
He was like,
what you get on? What's Sibling Rivalry?
She was like, did she say mass?
Yeah, just have them walk on in like, hey,
this is a preview, and you can find it on BryonLars.com.
Whoa, I like that one.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow.
Thanks. Yeah, you know what? We decided that, you know, so many of them are just like, that you see are just fabrics. And people just cutting a fabric and making a mask. And we're like, I think it could be a little bit more interesting than that.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you and completely candid, everybody kept asking me, am I making masks? And I was like, I would answer with a resounding no. Absolutely. Because nobody needs me for that, is what I thought.
Right.
And then, you know, the more, I didn't think about it at all. Like a colleague that works in China in our factory, you know what, like got this whole product, like the whole prototype set up. And she's like, what do you think about us making masks? And of course, Sheila asked and was relaying messages from other people and customers like, oh, we want to buy them if he makes them. I'm just like, nobody needs me for that. And then Monica, this colleague in China, that's it. Thanks. So, had gotten some prototypes ready with the pattern makers that I work with all the time, like just like the pattern part, because I was thinking like, I'm not gonna work for, you know, a week, 10 days perfecting the shape of this. But we have worked together for so many years that, I mean, what she has here is exactly what I would have if I put all my heart in it, but I just wasn't going to.
Right.
I wasn't going to, but then this is the universe telling you, you need to make masks.
Right.
Here's why. Because of that thing, the accessibility. Like all the women that may have wanted to be a part of this story, but for whatever reason, either like financially or what size they may happen to be, because we don't carry that, can actually now have something.
Right.
It's definitely a way that to be inclusive in a way that I never was able to before. So that's definitely in alignment with my value system. And then I start seeing like all the other, because I'm like, there's so many out there. But when I start seeing what they were, I'm like, but they're still not, I mean,
fashionable. You wanted to be fashionable, right?
Yeah, like, so I'm like, since we're in this for the long haul, and hopefully not that long.
Yeah.
You know, this is just what we're gonna
it's an accessory now. It's an accessory now. How about one that has a hood and it had a mask, Byron, or something like that?
Like a ninja?
But ninja, but fashion ninja. You know, like Grace Jones. Grace Jones with this, and you know what I mean? And you just like,
okay.
I'm like, wait, yeah.
I will take that under advisement.
Okay, you take it off like this and put it on like that, and it kind of has a collar, and then it has right. Because I know Byron, I'm like, he's gonna come up with something that's like, okay, that's a mask, but that's not a mask. That's a fashion piece that I need.
Well, we're calling them face wear too, to just get the whole idea of. I mean, it is a mask. They are
better than a mask. It's face wear. It changes changes your perception of it.
It just like elevated some, because it's like, yes, this is something that we all need to be doing, but it's also transcending beyond just that.
Right.
And what I thought really was happening all along, because, you know, I'd seen some interesting ones on the street in terms of the fabric. Like, it's leopard, it's this, it's that. And of course, we have some of that too, that like just interesting fabrics that we have, and we just cut the mask because, of course, those will be the lowest price point. But, you know, I never saw anything quite beyond that. And then I'm like, wow, maybe this is a reason for us to be in this. And yes, do you absolutely need it? Absolutely not. But do you absolutely need fashion? Shonda would say a resounding yes. You absolutely need it. It's like what?
Yeah, but fashion makes the world go round. You can't live without fashion. I mean, you know, it makes you happy when you're sad. So you know,
that's true. That is absolutely true. And the thing about fashion and not just clothes is, I'm always very surprised by the things that like move me the most, because you think you know yourself, you think you know what you like, what you don't like, until that thing completely out of the box, you know, comes into your world and you can't live without it. And you discover something new about yourself, which is always interesting, you know, to know that like, okay, I haven't figured it all out, and that's great. You know, so anyway.
So Byron, tell us this just for fun. Let's just say if you had to pick three of the top models, or not models, just three people that you'd want to walk down the catwalk in your fantasy gear. And this is our final kind of wrap up question, but bringing the fun back to fashion. Who would you have walking down strutting Byron Lars? You can give three since we want to give you a little flavor.
Here's the thing, like I'm often asked, like, what's like some of your favorite celebrities that have worn your clothes and everything? It's just like, and here's the thing, as much as I love and appreciate their support and admire their work ethic and their accomplishments, you know, I really just have the same experience seeing any woman wearing my clothes. You know what I mean? Like seeing herself in it. So for the answer to that question is, the three women that it would be closing my eyes and turning and pointing, you, you, and you.
We could bring Shonda out of retirement. We could bring Shonda out of her retirement.
Not out of retirement, because when I wear that Byron Lars, when I wear that sweater, that full length sweater jacket with the hood, that gray one, Oh, I'm all of Naomi Campbell walking down the street in that, man. I'm so bad in that jacket with jeans on, boots on, dress on. That is going to be my forever winter piece. And it got so cold in the Bay Area that I ended up having to wear it here. And people, they were like chasing me down, like, where did you find that? Where is that? I'm like, thank you. Because when I wore it in DC, they loved it there. You know, I'm like, that is, you know, hey.
Look,
you make the woman the model runway. You make the woman the supermodel in your clothes.
You know, that's what I like to think about. I like to think about every woman has that supermodel in her. But you, my girl, you wrecked me when you came in. Like, you came in an event of ours in that coat. And that's the first time I ever saw anybody not a model in that coat. And I was like, well, damn. And it was you. That is like your piece. There's some people that like, okay, yes, they look good on everybody, but then there's some certain women that just like, yeah, but nobody's gonna look this good or better, certainly ever, than this particular person in this particular piece. Because Mrs. O, one dress that like was, I didn't even like the dress so much, you know what I mean? But we sent it to her. She liked it. She wore it to several things, but oh my God, when I saw a dress on her, I'm like, well, dang.
You're like, I did that? Okay, you're like, thank you very much. Yeah. I made that.
And it was definitely her. It was not that dress. Like sometimes it's just, there's that thing that's just, especially.
You just own it. You put it on and you just own it. And it's like, this made me feel my best me.
Yes, there's something about a Byron Lars piece that fits with that person that brings out the best in them, so it brings out the best in the piece. Hey, that's your slogan right there. Gave it to you for free.
Well, thank you.
That's a What Sibling Rivalry moment. Well, Byron, we are so thankful to have you for this time and moment, straight out into your lab where all the magic happens and the divine intervention is inspired. So thank you for joining us on What Sibling Rivalry. We appreciate your genius, and I personally appreciate all you do to make me feel more beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My battery's just about to go, so this is like perfect time.
That divine intervention once again.
All the time.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you
of Byron,
on Spotlight.
All right.
Yes. Yes. And Shonda, just like all of Byron's pieces, What Sibling Rivalry is what?
All about love. It's all about love.
We go, we stay.